What's up guys, it's me Lego Paradise here, and today I'm going to show you my Lego Top Gear Amphibious Cars Challenge. In case you don't know, Top Gear is a British motoring show in which the presenters compete against each other in a series of car-related challenges. And as you can probably guess, the Amphibious Cars Challenge was to build a car that can not only drive on land, but also travel by water. I've built all three of their cars, and from left to right, they are Richard Hammond's Campervan, Jeremy Clarkson's Toybota, and James May's Triumph Herald. So let's take a closer look at each of the cars in a bit more detail. James May's Triumph Herald, a combination of a sailing boat and a classic Triumph. If we start by taking a look at the front, you can see that I've included all of the essentials, like a bumper with a grille, and this grille piece is actually from a classic Lego Spider-Man set, as well as a couple of headlights. And apart from that, there's not really much else going on with the car, because the Triumph is quite a basic car in real life as well. But what really makes it interesting are all of the sailing boat's accessories that have been attached on top. But anyway, if we move along to the middle, you can see James May himself is sitting in the driver's seat, and I've also included a couple of doors. These are actually hinged, so you can access the car. Of course, I realised that in the show, the doors were actually sealed shut to make them watertight and prevent any leaks when the car entered the water. But I thought it just broke up the otherwise plain sides and added a bit of functionality and originality to the design. Then towards the back, there's a Union Jack flag as it was shown in the show. And here you can really see the size of the massive sail, which is attached near the middle of the car and sticks up through the car's hood. And this is just a really nice colour that I think goes really nicely with the beige of the car. Then of course you have the small beam at the back, which you can rotate to change the direction of the sail. Finally, round the very back of the car, you have the rudder. And you can actually lower this into the water as it's mounted on a hinge. And you can see that goes down very slightly, but just enough to go into the water. And apart from that, there's not really much else on the back. There's just a small number plate in the middle of a pair of rear tail lights. But despite its simple design, James May's Triumph Herald is probably my favourite of the amphibious cars. So next we'll take a look at Jeremy Clarkson's Toybota, the modified Toyota pickup truck with the massive speedboat motor attached to the back. Before we take a closer look, I'd like to show you the suspension that I've included. And this is the only of the three cars that's actually got some working suspension, and you can see that this enables the Toyota to go up and down and side to side. And this is all possible because of the spring-loaded axles located underneath the bodywork of the car. I think they work really well and are perfect for this type of pickup truck. Now around the front, this is the part which I think turned out to be the most realistic. Because the real-life Toyota has this exact same black bumper and pairs of headlights, as well as a grille and just a simple bonnet. And the same thing with the wing mirrors. I think these turned out really well and look just like the real thing. So around the middle, here you can see there's some doors, and they can both open. Although again, I'm sure in the show these have been sealed up so they're both watertight to prevent any leaks. And then in the interior, you can see one of the two steering wheels on the Toybota. You can also see that I've added some visible waterproofing underneath the doors. This is because I wanted to make the cars as accurate to the show versions as possible, and they also included the same coloured waterproofing. I just created that using a couple of plates and studs attached in various directions. And you might have also noticed there's a pair of mud flaps there, both on the front and back wheels. And that also helps add to the realism. On top of the roof, there's just a single extra light. And again, this is accurate to the show version. Then round the back, this of course is where Jeremy Clarkson himself sits while he's operating the speedboat mode of the Toybota. This is where the comically huge speedboat engine sits, and this can actually be lowered down into the water if there was water, and you can see that's attached on a hinge piece with a little stopper there just to prevent it from going too far down. And Jeremy Clarkson himself can sit on the speedboat seat or jet ski seat that's been mounted on the back and control it with this other steering wheel. And here you can see Jeremy Clarkson wearing his little life jacket on top of his coat. And of course it's identical on both sides. And I'm also really happy with how this turned out. The final amphibious car is Richard Hammond's damper van, a camper van which has been modified to resemble a houseboat. If we first take a look at the side profile, you can see I think this is quite an interesting view because you can see that how they've added sections onto it, such as these front and back sections, to make it look a little bit more like the houseboat. And you can see what I mean, because if I cover these up, you can see this is how the camper van would look if it wasn't modified. And this is just something you don't really consider when watching the show, but I think it's quite interesting to see what parts they've added on and how they've modified it to look like a canal or a houseboat. And you can see in this front section there's a small area where you can stand, as well as the front of the camper van itself, and this includes the grille and the pair of headlights, as well as a chain that you can use to dock the damper van once you reach some land. And you can see that the whole camper van is painted with this really cool colour scheme. That includes this pattern that goes all the way around the side in a stripe, and the red section in the middle. And you can see that the paint job is black around the bottom, with white stripe, green, red in the middle, green and some white on top. And this of course resembles a traditional British or European canal boat, and they're actually quite common to see in rivers here in England. But you can see there's some more windows of the camper van with a sloping roof section on top. And this would be in real life if this was a real camper van where you could stand up and not have to bend down because of the low ceiling, since it's been extended. And you can see this section has been painted, and I recreated the paint effect using a couple of slope pieces. You have a normal slope down there and an inverted one on top to look like it's been painted at an angle. And there's just a small another window around there at the top on either side. And then here's just another little detail they added just for fun, and this is a small chimney. And this of course doesn't do anything, but I thought that was a really funny addition, and it's just cool to make them look as accurate as possible to the show versions. Round the back, here is where Richard Hammond himself is currently standing, and if we just take him out for a minute, you can see he was about to open these doors which lead to the interior. These doors do actually open, you can see they open outwards. They're just some normal shutters, but I think they work perfectly for a houseboat. And you can see that inside there's not really much in the interior, but that's because I didn't really feel like the interior was the main focus of this build, so instead I focused on adding as many details as possible to the exterior. And both of those doors just close up. So now we can place Richard Hammond back on his platform there. You can see finally there's just a small motor, and this is a little bit smaller than the Toybota's motor, but this also extends down below the water, if this was in water, and you can see that's free to spin around. And there's just a couple of rear tail lights added onto this extra section that's been added onto the back. And here's just a quick look at the presenters themselves, because I'm quite happy with how I've managed to recreate each of them in minifigure form. And going from left to right, there's Richard Hammond with his jacket, and I've used some short legs for him. Jeremy Clarkson, also wearing a jacket and some jeans. And James May with his famous flowery t-shirts. And I think the minifigures themselves also turned out to be quite accurate. So those were my LEGO Top Gear Amphibious cars, and if you enjoyed them, don't forget to give the video a like, comment and subscribe for more, and I'll be back next time with some more LEGO creations. Thanks for watching.